This is Real Sports Talk, Rumack and the Greek, featuring Billy the Greek and Stormin Norman Rumack. Brought to you by the good people at Costa and Carpets for Life.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our show. Show.
Keep it down over there. That's Rumack. We're live now. Let's go. Hey.
I'm Stormin Norm Rumack. He's Billy Georgiatsakis, the Greek, audience enforcer for this show. He'll throw you out if you get out of the line. Nonetheless, Billy, I'm pleased to see you wearing your Phoenix Coyotes colors, black and red. Very nice. They play the Maple Leafs tonight. We're going to talk Major League Baseball playoffs. We're going to talk about the Leafs and the rest of the National Hockey League.
You know what we're going to talk about? We're not.
We're going to talk about Billy's Dallas Cowboys, America's team, who last night, what's that expression? It starts with S and ends with T, the bed. They did something the bed against, when Billy told me 2 weeks ago about the Eagles, they were 3-0. Who have they beat? So, Billy, as your great friend, I ask you, who have the Eagles beat?
I'm glad you're in a festive mood, man. It's always nice to be here. We're at the bottom line.
Yeah.
Hey, let me stop interrupting. I want to talk. I want to get the
Hugo. Is that the real Hugo?
Hold on, man.
Hugo Boss?
Listen. Right? Holy Jesus.
Billy, you still like to roll up the sleeves.
How do you like those? How do you like those babies, man? Make sure they don't get wrapped around your forehead, We're at the bottom line. Hey, keep it down. We're at the bottom line. It's the bottom line, right? In downtown Toronto, 22 Front Street.
West.
Stones.
West.
Can I keep interrupting me? I'm going to talk here.
It's West.
All right, whatever they can. The people know. Stones Throw from the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, it's not. Jesus.
Why? I didn't
can't
say nothing.
Listen. I come here to put on a little production, talk to the fans, have a good.
Yeah.
Stop throwing me off. How's my hair? Take a look, man. Hey, top of the line,
Look,
no?
I know one girl. I won't mention her
Hey?
name. She
Hey?
she fell in love with Billy's hairline.
You know what?
I thought she was going to.
Nah, you know what she
I
fell in
thought she
love
was
with?
going to do something
You know
to
what
it.
she fell in love with? I don't want to tell you the big fat pockets, man. Right. You know what? Obviously, like a lot of people kind of enjoy me. Some people enjoy me because I'm proficient at putting money in their pockets. If you
that's
put
true.
money in another guy's pocket, hey, brother, let me ask you a question, guys. We're live here. If I continuously every Sunday for the last 3 years put money in your pocket, would you put up with me? Would you like me?
I like you.
You'd like me, right? And that's what I do for the people. I'm obnoxious. I know it all. But at the end of the day, I could say whatever I want, put my feet up like this, because I put money in your pockets. 70% betting football, Gooch against the spread. Go spread that rumor around. That's the facts. Anyways, what do you...
Yeah.
There's the facts. I got video evidence, pal. Anyways, what do you want to talk about, Rumack?
Well,
I'm here.
I thought.
Don't waste my time.
I thought I'm not. I thought, in light of your serious dissing of the Philadelphia Eagles 2 weeks ago, when you said, "Who have they beat?" And now I'll ask you, Billy Georgiatsakis, who I could say. Well, no, I won't say that.
I give you credit.
Who have they beat?
I give you credit. You pronounce my last name Amaga. I give you credit.
That's because I want Syracuse.
Usually that last name is butchered by the majority of people.
No.
So kudos to you. Anyways, this is a Leaf night. So before we get into my
Yeah.
Cowboys and what have you, Arizona, the mighty Arizona Coyotes
Well, I don't know about
come
that.
into Toronto, face the Maple Leafs. Your
Yeah.
thoughts early in the year? We're 3 games into the year.
Well,
Yes, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me talk.
Yeah.
We sat over here and we're talking, and we're hearing other guys in here. Got a guy.
Who would that be?
Listen, we got a guy, Rene Goulet. We got all kinds of guys in here.
Carey.
And here's
What do you call Renee?
hey man, forget about it. Anyways.
It's Carey the Gooch.
So the issue is we're 3 games into the year. Yeah. I'm sitting in here, and all I'm hearing from every Tom, Dick, and Harry, including this Goulet character, is what's wrong with the Leafs? It's 3 games into the goddamn year, Norm Rumack.
So,
they're 2-1, and everybody wants to do an autopsy. The season just started, and everybody
so
wants
that
to...
means we've only got 79 games left, Billy.
Let me ask you a question.
79 games.
On
My
a serious
God.
note, Norm. On a serious note,
Yeah.
what could possibly come good out of this regular season for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well,
let me finish. Let me ask you and then get a word in. Hypothetically, if the Leafs won the next 10 games in a row, including tonight, they should win this game, right? You would figure minus 400 favorites.
Yeah.
If the Leafs won 10 in a row, would your sentiments towards their long-term prognosticate, would your sentiments to their long-term playoff worthiness change?
No, because I guarantee you, let's give a shout out to James Foley and the Leafs Nation folks who are watching this show. I'll guarantee that in James' group, okay, of the Leafs Nation. I'll bet you most of them would agree with me. At this stage, in the Dubas Shanahan project, they like their regular seasons, but I'd say 90% of them would agree that no matter, even if, I mean, I'm really going overboard, even if they won every of
It
their
means nothing.
that's right.
It means
They've
nothing.
got to go not one round.
So
they've
then-
got to go 2 or 3
Hold
rounds.
on, that's
Yeah.
you're making my point exactly.
Uh-huh.
So, why in the blue hell are we talking about the Maple Leafs then for 80
we
games?
don't-
Why don't we just forget the Maple Leafs exist,
No,
right?
yeah.
And pick them up in the playoffs because that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, here's a more reasonable thing. Okay, I'll give credit where credit is due. My friend Jim Devellano, the Hall of Famer, Red Wings executive.
You like to throw names, eh?
I do.
Holy jeez, name dropping. Oh yeah.
You
sound like
even if they're not Hall of Famers.
you know what you know what you sound like some of the guys in the bullpen, man. Name droppers. Anyways, that's a different story. You don't know
the bullpen.
You don't know anything about that kind of stuff up in Syracuse, man. You don't know what goes on in other parts of the world. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
You'd be surprised. Anyway,
Go ahead.
All right. So
What's your lawyer, buddy?
Calvin Barry,
Ask him what the
Canada's best criminal defense attorney.
him-
If you've been bad,
All right.
he can help you.
Ask
or
next
worse
time
than
you
that.
talk to Calvin, say Calvin, I'm curious to something. Somebody asked me a question live on there. What's a bullpen? And then he'll let you know. Anyways, enough about
yeah,
that.
Calvin.
Ask Calvin what
Calvin
a bullpen
knows
is.
good people, and he knows some bad people. He knows people.
Listen, forget about good people and bad people.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the Leafs, right?
Yeah, what was your
obviously, obviously, the sentiment is this. So let me
Yeah.
make an example on a
Yeah.
serious note. Now,
Yeah.
last year was, in terms of the 82-game regular season, was one of the most iconic years
Yeah.
in the history
regular
of the
season.
long story Toronto Maple Leaf franchise. First,
Yeah.
you established an all-time high in points. Is that right? Am I right so far?
Yeah.
You had the MVP winner of the
Yeah.
league. First time that's happened in how long, Norm?
About 40, 50 years.
Since black and
Maybe
white.
60.
Black and white times, right?
Even
All right.
before.
So those two things conspired to happen.
Yeah.
But after you lost in 7 against the eventual Stanley Cup finalists, the Lightning, the
Yeah.
season was considered what?
A failure.
A disaster. There's my
Yeah.
point exactly. So
Well-
as we're watching the game, just puck drop right now. So if I
Yeah.
see anything, I'll let you guys know. If you hear some live at the
But
bottom line,
by
you'll
the
know.
way, I've got a great comparison for you, Billy, and I'm sure you'll agree. You, yourself, the highly heralded Billy George Atsakis himself, with the slicked hair, the nice hairline. Is that like my biceps come from peanut butter sandwiches? Where do
This
yours
is
come from?
custom made, baby. But go on.
Okay.
Custom made individual.
Anyway, you yourself said when the Yankees were kind of like trotting to the, not galloping, but trotting to the finish line, you said, the Yankee fans, they don't care about the regular season and home runs. If they don't do something special in the postseason, so if they don't do something in the postseason special, so why aren't you saying the same thing about Leaf? If Yankee fans can feel that way, why can't Leaf fans?
What I'm telling you, that's not what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's expectations, but at some point in time, pay attention, Gooch, I'm talking. At some points in time, somebody, Gooch, and I'm talking to you specific, I have a problem with you, and I'll explain why on air. When somebody, right, in the center of the universe, not Winnipeg, pal, it's Toronto, Ontario, Canada, bottom line, baby. So you're in the center of the universe. Why can't Leaf fans, instead of thinking about the playoffs 6-8 months from now, why don't you just enjoy a generational talent like Matthews? Why don't you enjoy some of these guys on the club? Stop talking about tomorrow and the playoffs
Billy,
and last year. Just enjoy a product.
Billy.
Hold on, I'm talking. For those of you that grew up in my time, right? You know why there's an exodus of Leaf fans in this city? Because of when? 84, 85, 86, those lean years, right? If you want to go back a Leaf fan and suffer, go to those lean years. Now at least you got a competitive club. Why don't you guys enjoy it and stop complaining? I'm just an outsider. That's how I see it.
I'm just saying, you can't say Yankee fans.
I missed the point. You didn't even respond to what I
No,
told
I
you.
did. I'm just saying, by the way, in 85, as one of those younger 30-ish Leaf fans.
You don't know nothing about
Wait
sports,
a second. Wait, I know stuff that you were still in diapers then. You were still an amoeba then.
Gee. So hold on.
You were a one-cell creature.
All right. So you came on the radio. For decades talking about God's team,
That's
and it was relatively speaking compared to this club, it was a fledgling organization.
No. We're talking about two Final Fours, Pat Quinn and Pat Burns.
In 2000, what Final Fours?
What Final Fours? Remember '93? Hello?
Yeah, that's fine, Norm.
Well,
but at that
and
point,
Pat Quinn, 99.
So
So,
the-
there. I was right. I rule.
Yeah, the question is, yeah, you rule. The question is,
Yeah.
obviously, I'm an impartial observer, as you can tell. Why have you
Yeah.
soured so much on the Leafs, and why
No.
can't you enjoy a generational talent like Matthews, much like you loved Wendell?
Here's my intelligent answer. You can do both, Billy. You can, just like
Why did you do both in the 90s, Norman?
I
When
did.
all the youngsters were listening and you told
I
us
did.
Clark for Fedorov, you wouldn't make the trade.
That's right. But I'm just saying, I enjoyed Wendell, even though there were some years, especially after 96. Remember, 97,
How's
forget
my hair?
about 98. Oh, Billy,
Go ahead.
if I was a girl, which I'm not,
Oh, geez, man.
if I was a girl, but I'm not. Anyways, so get back to your question. Yeah, blow him. I'm going to make his day.
Stunning,
I'm going to
baby.
make his day. I'm going to blow him a kiss.
Stunning, man. God put together quite a package here. Let me tell you. And I handicap football. What else can a woman want, man? I sit my ass on the couch all day. All I do is talk,
but
I eat chips, and I gamble football, man. I'm the dream of
here's-
every lady
yeah,
that's
but
watching
Billy,
this,
here's
buddy.
where your divorce comes in.
Me.
What happens when, even if she's the most gorgeous, the smartest, and she tells Billy George to say, Billy, enough of this football. I want to go out to the museum in the art gallery on Sunday. Now I want to hear what he
You want to
says.
ask a question? I'll tell you exactly
Or
what I
she
say.
says, better still, she wants to visit the in-laws.
No, I'll tell you exactly what I'll say.
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, keep it down. Don't get the wrong impression.
Yeah.
All right? First of all, it's not a comedy, it's a serious program.
God forbid it was a
Co-sent-
Dallas
sponsored
Cowboys
by
game.
the Central Ontario Standbird Association, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Anyways, let me get back to the basics.
Yeah.
If I was in that situation, I have been over the years.
Yeah.
Here's what I do. I mix it up, Norm Rumack.
And how do you
hold
do
on.
that? Never
I'm
mind.
a shifty guy.
Specifics.
Every Tuesday.
The Cowboys are coming
No.
up in a half hour with the Eagles,
Yeah,
and your wife wants you to visit the in-laws,
Every-
and then go to the art gallery.
Every second Tuesday, the Greek over here, man, you know what he does?
What?
He
Goes
picks up
to the art gallery.
Don't interrupt. He picks up his lady by the arm and he
Oh,
takes her
yeah.
to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Toonie Tuesdays, baby.
She really
Right?
likes the health. She
Gotta-
really likes the health food.
I take my. That's how you do it. That's how guys operate. Guys like me, city slickers.
So
Norm
you mean
Rumack.
your gals would take going to KFC over the art gallery?
with a legend like me?
How about the opera?
You know what? I'm a chameleon. I can slide anywhere. You want to go to the opera? Go to the opera. I'll put those little glasses
Yeah,
on.
and
I'll play those.
he'll have the NFL game on in his ears
Yeah,
while he's watching the
Back to the Leafs, Norm. Anyway, so we've established that no matter what the Leafs do moving forward, right? It really doesn't matter. They're going to get judged in the playoffs. Fair enough?
Yep, always.
So then, what is the regular season for? What's the point of watching
You know
this
what?
hockey?
We were seriously talking off air, and I gave the example. The LA Kings 2012. They had a very disappointing regular season. They got into the playoffs. It was like
As
the
the eighth
last
seed.
weekend. That's right. And what happened?
Yeah.
They got their mojo, or however you want to put it. They won the Stanley
Take a
Cup.
look. You know
So
what?
I'm
Funny
just
you-
saying, but it doesn't happen all the time.
All
But
right.
it can happen, right?
Funny you mention that. We'll get to a little bit of MLB
Yeah.
playoffs when you look at San
Yeah.
Diego, Philadelphia,
Yeah.
even Cleveland tonight, Game 7 in the Bronx will get you set up for that. It's just the first pitch is moments away.
Yeah.
Therein lies the issue. So there's only one thing you're telling me that's important if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf
That's
fan.
right.
And
Well-
that's to qualify for the playoffs. Other than that, it really doesn't matter.
That's right.
Last year,
That's
you had
right.
home ice.
Yeah.
You ran up 115 points. It did
That's
you no
right.
good.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're telling
Make
me,
the playoffs,
that's
and then
it.
the show starts.
All right.
Yeah.
So when the show,
But that's fair.
All right. Yeah. Shit, we agreed, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So we agree. We shouldn't talk about the Leafs and all the rest of the season, but we'll talk
No.
about them for now. Do you see this collection of goaltenders? You got the Samsonov kid.
No.
Always Samsonov.
No.
I think of the little Samsonov from Boston. You know that little guy that used to
Yeah,
dance?
yeah.
I get the two confused. Anyways. So you got this guy. You got the other guy, Murray,
Wow.
who mysteriously pulled a Robidile and hamstring, and now he's out for a month so they can call everybody else up. If I'm a league investigator, man, my alarm bells are ticking. I would
Well,
go
but the
visit,
question-
Air
Well,
Canada there
but-
and do some.
But the question, with all due respect to Murray and his past achievements, he struggled in Ottawa.
Forget-
They knew that. So the question is, why did they bring him on? I'm not knocking the guy personally. I don't know him. He might be the nicest guy in the world, and good for him. Like I said, he's had a nice career. But I'm just saying, on a
How
team.
many Stanley Cup rings you got? Don't talk bad about
Well,
the man, eh?
I didn't. I said he's a
That's
nice
better.
guy. I've got I've got my Syracuse ring and
All
my
right,
Toronto
I didn't
Marlboro.
ask you how many Stanley Cup rings you got. Matt Murray, you want to run Matt Murray under the bus?
And how many?
You're a fourth line house league guy. You want to talk about Matt
Third
Murray?
line house league.
Right.
Get it straight.
So anyway, what I'm trying to ask you,
And I was a two-way checker.
follow where I'm going with this. What I'm trying to ask you, first of all, do you have any suspicions that Matt Murray, perhaps this injury is a result of a nefarious conduct by Leaf management to circumvent the salary cap? Can we ask this, or is that a conspiracy in your estimation? Can I ask this?
You can ask it.
All right.
It might be like it is kind of like what?
Fishy? It is not a little fishy. You played. Hold on, I'll explain to you. You played a period.
he didn't
you come
play
out,
great.
and here's what they said. The game report is if he gets cleared, he'll play tonight. And later on that night, he said he's on the long-term injured reserve for a month.
Well, okay.
Like, those culmination of events. I'm from the streets, pal. When there's smoke, there's fire, man. If I'm the league, I'm looking at the Leafs for tampering, circumvention of the salary cap. That's what I'm doing. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, at this point, rather, it's an interesting possibility. I don't think the Leafs would want to go there, especially if it was true. I'm just saying, if it was true.
Does it smell a little to you, though?
It seems a bit fishy. Would that be the word for it?
Absolutely.
I mean, 3 goals high bar side, right? So it's like
here's what it was. If Murray is hurt, and again, I don't get to see
hopefully he's
reports,
not.
But it was rather convenient. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. Now, in terms of Samsonov, even Murray, even all these guys, Shalgren, whatever the kid's name is that's in net tonight, if you put any of these guys together, what's your confidence level going into a 7-game series when you got to beat a guy like Shesterkin, or you got to beat a guy like Anderson in Carolina? You had him, you give him away, or you got to beat Vasilevsky. Do you feel confident as a Leaf guy with the roster you have that goaltending can stand up in a playoff tournament?
Well,
because if you do, you're a fool.
Well, goalkeeping and just defensive play in general, no, I don't have confidence.
All right. No. So, as we said this year, we're talking about Mariners, Blue Jays. We're talking about Tampa, Toronto. So here's what I'm going to tell you. All Leaf fans, pay attention. You're a Leaf fan. Reserve judgment till after the trade deadline of this year to see what kind of roster Dubas puts in place. After the trade deadline. Because you know what? This is Dubas got his back against the wall, Normie.
Well, but that's what happens after.
Yeah. You think he's going to go down his last year in Flames with Samsonov in net?
Well, I'll give you another little. I was mentioning this earlier. My friend, Jim Devellano.
Oh, geez, with the name dropping again.
Well, it was the same guy I mentioned before. Anyways, he told me that
Don't tell us about that Philly night in the Spectrum when you and
Oh, I can tell you about that.
No,
1974. Anyway, so Mr. Devellano told me that most NHL GMs wait till about 20 games in. He said American Thanksgiving, at 20 games, they've got a good read on their club and what's gone good and what's not gone good.
What did I just say?
No, I said 20
I'm not
games.
Devellano. What did I just say? Give it a little.
Give
it a little. First of all, let me tell you this, man. And you know what? Without being
I know you said trade that, but I'm just saying 20 games in, you can, even if you're a fan.
I don't like to display a level of hubris here, but I'm also an honest guy, so I have to tell like it is. If I was the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, right, I guarantee you this. I don't know if I would have won a cup, but I would have got you out of the first round. I would have found Nick Paul at the deadline. I would have found some guys that can go in the corners and play. I would have found a few guys. The recipe from Kyle Dubas from day one has been constructed rather with holes on the defensive side, on the physicality side, and it's created a dynamic that makes them pay every day. You have 4 forwards. We mentioned it before. You pay all this kind of money. You have no roster flexibility. You have no toughness. And you got to pretend the guy got hurt so you can call up Robertson to play. That's the situation Dubas let the Leafs in. What? And you want to give him some more time? Kyle, it's enough, buddy, man. You had 5 years. You couldn't do the job, man. Let the Greek in there, man, for crying out loud, man. At least I got the brains, man, and the looks, right? And the passion, baby. Enough, man. I want to talk about this no more. Enough. I don't care.
Who's the last Leaf executive that was hired for his looks?
Do you not listen to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Looks is only part of the package. Listen to what I'm saying, man.
Okay. I didn't know
this is some good shit, Rumack. You'll never hear this kind of level of articulence from any of these clowns in Toronto that do these sports for a living.
Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, we're a little bit more down to earth, a little more salty
from the streets,
than those network shows. We're a lot more salty.
Forget the saltiness.
We talk like We talk like Leaf fans talk at the bar after 5 or 10 beers. That's how we talk.
Listen, Attaboy, he likes that. Listen, the Maple Leafs.
Or on the subway after the beers in the game.
The Maple Leafs are like a grown man that has a wardrobe and it's just full of suits. That's it. There's not a cutoff, like one of those wife beaters. You look at his closet, he doesn't have one pair of work boots, one pair of slippers. He's just got dress shoes and suits, man. That's what the Leafs are. They don't got none of those dirty GWG Wrangler jeans. They don't got none of those cowboy boots. They don't got no flexibility. They don't even got sandals. They don't even have flip-flops, man. It's a one-trick pony, man.
Do they have those elevator shoes that John
It's a one-trick pony, man.
Saturday Night Fever?
You got to be able to play a hockey game, any kind of sport, in all areas of the game, in all levels. Physicality, talent, heart, character, you name it.
Yeah.
And the Leafs are in the A+ category when it comes to upper-level talent. But when you talk about truculence, you talk about toughness, you talk about tenacity, you talk about foresight, the Leafs are a C- student, man. And then you guys are wondering why they're not winning? Holy Jesus, not rocket science.
Because, even like elementary.
Am I right or wrong?
Even elementary school kids playing house league hockey know that, as they always say, because it's true, the playoffs is a different season. And the Leafs don't play like it's a different season.
If you know this, then young Kyle, the dubious one, right? Yeah. What is he possibly thinking? Because as we mentioned, this is last year. He hasn't signed. Shanny didn't sign him. Shanny should be out the door too. Does nothing, man, except comes once every couple of years and gives a press conference at the State of the Union end of the year. Does nothing. Shanahan, man, was a great player, but as an executive, he's invisible. Half the time he's in New York. Whatever. We can tell like it is. We're not from Rogers, man. We're independently owned and operated. Is that right?
By you? Something like that.
So, anyways, this year, either you get the job done, or the Shanny plan goes exit stage left. Period. Case closed. And he takes Dubas, he takes Keith, and the entirety of them with him. And bye-bye, see you later. So the question you ask yourself, if you're Dubas and you know that your back's against the wall, how could you be stupid enough to go in a season with Samsonov and Murray as the saviors for your jobs? Do you want to get fired?
Well, that's more so pertaining to Murray, especially. With all due respect to his history, and Stanley Cup ring. But
did my hair get out of place, man? I got a little emotional.
Yeah, you got so emotional. You look like you just walked through the Sahara Desert.
Hold on. You know what I do when I walk around? I want to go offset. I bring a Dolce & Gabbana cologne with me just in case I need a.
Well, you're wearing. So why are you wearing? Well, you have Hugo Boss cologne.
Listen, man.
All right.
I'm working.
Bond.
All right. So, anyways,
okay.
Leafs.
Regular season, because they say, well, I've been there, done that, and they're right.
Yeah.
They've seen fine regular seasons in the Matthews-Marner era. They want something else. Right?
All right, so what you want is not coming today, tomorrow, next month. We're sitting and we're watching Mr. Goulet, who I love to death. It's not the smartest of guys, that guy, right? If you listen, frankly, that guy butchers the English language. Hold on.
I hear he's got like an incredibly high IQ.
He butchers the English language 8 ways to Sunday, bludgeons it, as a matter of fact. Really? You listen to the guy. I don't know how many high school credits he's got. I got 4. He's got 3 probably. But you hear the gooch, and he'll talk about, and thank God that Jordan, the producer's a little sharper. He understands what he's talking about. Don't be premature. You're 3 games into the year, and you want to critique a Leaf, a 7-year Leaf run. Relax a little bit. Take it easy. Watch the hockey. Have a cold one. Just enjoy, man. They're not giving out cups in early October, just like they're not giving out the Lombardi to the Philadelphia Eagles in October.
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
They're not. It doesn't happen in October.
Or the New York Giants. You forgot them.
There you go. So therein lies the question. Obviously, big game, Philadelphia, Dallas. If you've seen the preview that I did, but before we get into the football, let's have a. This is a good one.
What?
This Costa Classic, I told you earlier.
Oh, yeah. 1993, a record-setting, an all-time great. This is like the kind of, if this harness horse was a hockey player, he'd be on your first line, could play center or wing. He's got that kind of speed, and he set a record at the Meadowlands. Probably the New Jersey Devils, 93.
All right, and who's the driver? You know who the driver is?
I'll let you fill in.
You better know who the driver is. He pays our bill. Makosa Classic with our good buddy Billy O'Donnell. in the sulky.
The six-race field, second leg of the Governor Alfred Driscoll. Trying to get him moving up. Here they come. And they're off. On the outside, General Ring leaves. Far outside, Silver Almahurst from between horses, Shady Daisy with Cam Best. Around the first turn. Now on the inside, it's Staying Together. Up on the outside, the mare Shady Daisy. Then it's another length and a half to Survivor Gold from between horses, Cam Best. General Ring is fifth. Length and a half, Silver Almahurst sixth. Then two back to Bilateral. The trailers, Incredible Aussie and Loriland Butler. Opening quarter in 26 and 4. Down the back stretch they go, and Shady Daisy, hard driven to get the lead, quickly will be challenged by Cam Best. And Cam Best and Walter Hennessy looking for the lead as they approach the half. Right back out, here comes Staying Together and O'Donnell. Lots of movement on the front end. Silver Almahurst is fourth, Survivor Gold fifth. General Ring at 6, 2.5. Then it's Bilateral with Loriland Butler and Incredible Aussie. The half in 53 and 1. Fastest half mile ever here at the Meadowlands. It's Staying Together. Who leads it by half a length? Silver Almahurst on the outside second with Cam Best in third. Survivor Gold up on the rim fourth. Shady Daisy in fifth. General Ring sixth. They go by 3/4 and Staying Together by half a length. 3/4 and 1:21. Fastest 3/4 ever. 3/16 to go and they're on their way home. Staying Together, and O'Donnell leads it a length and a half, too. Cam Best is second on the outside. Silver Almahurst, length and a half to Survivor Gold. In deep stretch, it's Staying Together, and nobody's going to catch them. Staying Together by 2. Let's look at the time. 1:48 and 2.
By now, you know the name KOSA TV, an industry leader producing unique, high-quality digital content promoting harness racing in Ontario. Features, virtual programming, live events, and more. KOSA TV has it covered. Follow our social media channels and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to view the latest content. And if you're looking to bet your favorite Ontario track, check out hpibet.com. KOSA TV, taking Ontario racing global.
Welcome back, and thanks to our great friends at KOSA, the Standardbred Horse Racing Association of Ontario. Been loyal sponsors for myself, certainly, as well, when I was on the Fan 590 for a long, long time, and here with the podcast with Billy George at Sakis. The people...
Call me the Greek, man. Call me the Greek.
The Greek.
It's all right.
Okay.
We're buddies now, man. You're all right.
Yeah.
Call me the Greek.
All right, so, we want to thank them. We've had people like Randy Waples on the show. I know Chris Christoforou. You know these people well. You know the trainers. You know,
Chantal Mitchell, one
great
of our
folks.
really,
really down-to-earth people.
Absolutely. Look forward to having some of us join us in studio over there. They're going through their peak season. So when the time is right, looking forward to having the characters from that world, which is one of the finest people again in the Central Ontario Standardbred Association. We look forward to having them.
All right, so we went thoroughly through the Maple Leafs and fans' disappointments and expectations or lack of expectations or wanting April 10th to come around sooner than it possibly can to get the playoffs started. All right, let's move on to the NFL. I was having some fun at your expense.
Before we move on to the NFL, a couple words. As I was driving here, you know what all of us did? There's about 4 or 5 of us, and we're doing a hockey preview about a month ago. And you know what we decided to do? We decided, and I'm curious to know in your estimation if it was rather premature, we decided to put a fork in the Boston Bruins in terms of some of the things they were doing in the offseason, right? The uncertainty of Bergeron, I believe, at that point in time. Are you surprised the Bruins got off to a little bit of a start? And do you believe a club with still championship pedigree in those three, Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron, is still a threat in the East? Or do you look for them to fall backwards as their start is...
Maybe they'll go a few steps backwards, but, Billy, I've always learned from people in the business that if you want to retool, well, let's call it retool as opposed to rebuild. If you want to retool, you move players before their time is done, a little bit ahead of time, and then get your youngsters, whether through junior hockey, college hockey. Because the one thing we've got to credit the Bruins for considering what they won the Cup 2011. They've still been a highly competitive, tough team to play against. I think they've shown that they can draft and develop well. I think they're smart to do kind of like a quick, it's more of a retooling. I wouldn't call it a rebuild. And again, if you want to get quality back, you got to move guys when they can still help some other teams.
You know what I'm asking you this? I'm asking this hypothetically, bringing it back to the Leafs. Do you foresee any possibility, short of Austin Matthews going down for 2-3 months, do you see any possibility that the Leafs can miss the playoffs?
Well, anything's possible in sport. Is anything possible? Yes. If the Leafs, now we talked about their goalkeeping. Let's say, God forbid 1,000 times, Mr. Riley gets hurt. Their primetime, legit top 2 defenseman on any team, right? If something happens there and the goalkeeping struggles, then you could say, boy, you're going to have to win a lot of games 10-7. Now, do they have the scoring prowess to do it? Yeah, but how many nights can – and I think we had agreed, Billy, we expect Buffalo and Montreal not to be winning the Cup, but to be tougher to play against, right? Even Ottawa was tough to play.
And therein lies the question when you talk about what could be – because here, let's put it this way. You see the NFL 7 weeks into the season, it's got flipped upside down. We'll get into the Jets. We'll get into all kinds of fascinating stories. The Giants. If you said this at the
there's as much parity in the NFL,
right?
Anyway,
and there's a lot of parity in the NHL. Don't fool yourself. Don't be surprised. And again, don't sleep on the Detroit Red Wings.
That's right.
Ottawa's a little better. Buffalo's a little better.
Montreal,
Everybody's a little better. And you know what? Frankly, Toronto is a little worse. When you talk about the goaltending situation,
I agree.
And you talk about the roster depth and some guys that have exited.
They could be in a situation where
the gap is shrinking. The gap is shrinking.
Let's say they're in a battle with some of the wild card teams, right? That could happen, sure.
The gap between the Leafs and those behind them is quickly shrinking. So if not now, when? Right?
Well, here's
you want to talk about. Hold on. You want to talk about how bad it is to be a first round exodus? How about another rebuild? How about you start again from 65 points? Can you imagine that, Leaf fans? So you better enjoy it while it's good, because at least you're competitive now. Because you're an Austin Matthews and a Mitch Marner exodus away from being a Arizona Coyotes.
Well, put it this way. The Leafs have been lucky not to have very long-term injuries to Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. But especially with Austin, if he, God forbid, ever had a long-term injury, and you've got question marks about your goalkeeper, it's gonna be bite your nails time for quite a long time.
So at that point in time, the conversation's not going to be about winning Stanley; it's about trying to squeeze in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's how fans are. That's how fans are. So,
well, and that would be a legitimate concern.
Yeah, but again, the point is just enjoy it while you guys. Speaking of enjoying it, I have a lot of Eagles fans, fans too. They were riding me all day, so they enjoyed a 26-17.
Well, that was the story of two halves. The Cowboys weren't there in the first half. Then they fought back, but the Eagles had enough to close it out.
See, and funny enough, I'm watching. I'm not putting on my previews because it took about 6-7 minutes. You want to watch them? Follow the Greek on my Facebook page. Had a 5-3 week, 22-14 on the year, 60%. We'll get to the Monday nighter later. I give it to you last week. I got a good one again this week. But as for the Sunday nighter, I'm watching the first half, right? As a Cowboy fan, I'm already skeptical because the way the storyline is written, they're holding back Dak. So you figure Dak, the only way Dak's going to be introduced into the lineup is coming off a loss. That's my logic. Okay. So I believe they lose in Philadelphia and then Dak comes back. It's a lot easier to reintroduce him, right?
Right.
But here's what Philadelphia, for that, especially that second quarter, looked like the best team I've seen in football in the last 10 years for one quarter. Offensive line, unbelievable. Their corners shut down.
Their defense played well.
Unbelievable. But then you see a second half, and it's a complete reversal where Dallas looks like the better of the two clubs. So again, they don't give out Lombardis at Lincoln Field. They didn't give out a Lombardi to the Eagles, 6-0, but it's an 17 game season, and they'll meet again. What I'm more surprised with, frankly, and I'll get your take, is the emergence of the New York Jets. There's a kid here that's a Jets fan. He must be shits and giggles. Where'd these guys come from, and how do you go into Green Bay and beat Rodgers?
It's absolutely, especially their defense. Holy smokes! I'll ask you because I don't know. I'm not talking about a defeat. When's the last time at Lambeau the Packers not defeated, humiliated?
Yeah.
They were booed. When have the Packers ever been booed at Lambeau?
Here's the problem. The only thing that's Green Bay about Green Bay is Green Bay. Let me explain what that means, because I don't even know. Here's what it means. You have Rodgers on the back of the jersey. You
Yeah.
have the mystique of Lambeau, but also you got to understand, you don't have any skill position guys, any receivers on that club. The loss of Devontae Adams to the Raiders was monumental, apparently.
Yeah.
They couldn't replace him. And you see Rodgers, he's struggling. It's hard enough for a quarterback, no matter who you are. We'll get to Brady later. No matter who you are, if you don't have weapons, you know what? You look awfully slow, awfully old, awfully quick in the NFL if you don't have weapons. And Rodgers has no weapons there. No weapons in Green Bay, and it looks fascinating to watch a team that can't move the football.
But the Jets have been, all right in some other games too. It's been a long. When's the last time? I can't even remember. When's the last time the Jets had a relevant, one that you didn't want to play necessarily?
You know who their quarterback, and I forget his name, I believe it's Wilson. You know what it reminds me of? Remember that period in time Mark Sanchez had that little run where they beat New England, where they had a little playoff run? Same kind of game manager. If you look at the stats, the kid throws for 110 yards, doesn't turn the ball over, fine and good. But he was a gamekeeper and a manager. That game was won on the New York Jets defense, and more specifically on the inability of Green Bay to move a football, which furthers the point that in the National Football League, you never effing know. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And like the whole from early on, from preseason till now, who could have told me the Giants going to go 5-1? Who? Jordan LaRoche and the other guy that do? Who could have told me the Giants go 5-1? Make a case. Who?
Well, or the Eagles at the start of the year, right?
6-0. Yeah,
they haven't done that since Donovan McNabb was at quarterback. He was 7-0.
Hey, the NFC East was a laughing stock, and now it looks like both wild cards might come out of there, right? All of a sudden,
well, what if you have both New York teams in the postseason, right? The Giants and the Jets.
All of a sudden, it's like the world is flipped upside down in the National Football League. We're back in the 90s.
The only thing that wasn't flipped upside down was the classic game at 4:30.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Super Bowl quality.
Yeah.
That was Super Bowl quality. And too bad, both AFC. But certainly as a conference final, probably most neutrals, that's what they'd want to see, right down to the wire, right?
To me, again, what I learned from watching this football, other than I'm the best handicapper in North America, what I learned watching this football is, for me, if I'm drafting one player in the NFL, first overall on my board, it's Josh effing Allen.
Yeah.
He is, and it pains me to say, obviously, but the truth is the truth. Josh Allen is the best football player in the world, and with a little bit of playoff success and a ring, he can go down as one of the greatest of all time. And I'm not talking about just his physical tools.
Yeah.
His mental makeup, his toughness, his attitude. This guy he's a once in a lifetime guy, and he landed in the Bills' laps. And here's the beautiful thing. He loves Buffalo, and Buffalo loves him, right? Because when you take a look at Buffalo, it's not the greatest place to live. Let's be frank, right? Tonawanda, Cheetah, Waka, Laka, and all these Wanas.
But it is inexpensive.
It's the armpit of It's the armpit of the USA. We know that. So for a guy of Josh Allen's caliber to fall in love with Western New York, that says a lot, because he's not going anywhere. And again, beautiful performance driving Buffalo down the field against Kansas City, and then just put him on his back.
I don't know if I've ever seen.
And Arizona's got one on the Leafs. The Gooch is looking smarter than ever.
Wow. Maybe there is a questionable goalkeeper.
You've been around a lot. You've been around enough to see many quarterbacks come and go. The only comparable that I can have to Josh Allen. Tell me if I'm off here. And not exactly, but in some ways, does Josh Allen not remind you of a little bit? Doesn't he have a little John Elway in him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to remember in terms of where we see Josh hurdling. Like, I'm talking about a track and field Olympian hurdling another player. And he doesn't even lose his freaking that's
unbelievable.
3-4 feet in the air, keep your balance, and then land. You don't lose I'm trying to think of an NFL quarterback.
Maybe a Steve Young, but left-handed version.
I'm just trying to. Just that's
Randall Cunningham?
Wait. Yeah, maybe Randall used to scramble a lot. Yeah. Even Donovan a little bit.
Yeah.
But Randall Cunningham He was. I mean, how many quarterbacks sprinted around as much as him?
Yeah,
Right.
but then
I don't remember if he was a great hurdler, but
he was a great hurdler. It's unbelievable for those, like, if you go back in time, some of you are too young to understand, but Randall Cunningham, Google him, one of the greatest of all time. But even when you compare Cunningham, arm strength, Cunningham could throw a football 70, 80 yards. But Josh Allen, to me, is a step above a Randall Cunningham in terms of his toughness, in terms of his football intellect, right?
He can read a game very well. I mean, he can read defenses like that, right? And he knows it's like in his mind, he's got plan A, B, C, and D worked out before the ball is snapped in case this guy's covered, this guy falls. Whatever he's already in his mind, he's got like a Harvard MBA mind for football that he anticipates and he reads and he can synthesize all that information in a second, and he knows how to react to whatever is coming his way.
With a God-given athletic gifts that few possess at his position, you put those things together and right away, front runner. I don't know the odds, but I'm guessing if there was an MVP ballot taken today, Josh Allen would be the front runner in respect to that, probably the favorite. And if you're looking in a power ranking situation, you got Philadelphia and Buffalo 1-2. And again, that's a Philadelphia team that, again, I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. He's effective. He has his moments. I'm not sold in terms of him being a pocket passer. Philadelphia still got question marks. Forget the 6-0. They still got question marks. In terms of me as a Cowboy fan, I wouldn't be scared to face them.
I don't think they have the depth, and because if one of their guys gets hurt, we saw that yesterday, right?
You saw the offensive lineman go down, and then they couldn't control the Dallas front four.
That's right.
I'll put it to you like this: with a healthy Dak Prescott as a Cowboy fan, I'm not scared of that game. I'm not scared of the Philadelphia game. Frankly, I'm not scared of anywhere in the NFC. The NFC's wide open. When you consider some of the juggernauts of the past, you're looking at San Francisco 3-3. You're looking at Green Bay. You're looking at New Orleans. All the Tampa Bay even 3-3. You're looking at all the teams that have dominated the last decade. They're on the periphery now.
Yep.
Right. When you take a look at seedings, you got Minnesota. You got the NFCs.
Buffalo's biggest threat is still Kansas City, right?
Absolutely. Kansas City, and then there's an also for me as an outside possibility, depending on home field advantage, obviously would be a San Diego. What do they call them now? Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers would be an outside possibility for me.
Okay, so let you know what kind of fun. Let's do a fantasy matchup. Let's say everything breaks well for the Bills and things improve and no more serious injuries for the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, and Dak's healthy. Everybody's healthy. Cowboys versus Bills. How does that game work out?
I'll tell you.
Bills?
I'll tell you this. First of all, the line would open up. If that was the Super Bowl, the line would open up at Buffalo -2.5 or 3 points. Buffalo would be the favorite going into the game, and rightfully so. Yeah. If those two teams match up, that game's getting decided with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Somebody wins, somebody loses, a last possession kind of game. And again, the Dallas defense is unbelievable.
Yep, it's true.
But the issue is with Dallas, and again, we can't really characterize what your playoffs aspirations will be once we see your roster. There's additions to be made. Don't forget, OBJ's out there in the market. There's talk of McCaffrey. There's a lot of guys, so don't be surprised. OBJ was a big addition, Norm, to the Rams last year.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they won that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's guys out there. I'm guessing that Jerry, having money under the cap, there's going to be addition to that roster on the offensive side, especially out wide later in the year. Don't be surprised if OBJ wears a Cowboy jersey by week 12.
Mr. Elliott was looking unstoppable yesterday. Boy, was he ever running his ass off.
And again, the issue is it's a competitive football team in a parity-driven league that can lose to anybody and beat anybody, which is the NFL, and that's exactly the way they want it. Remember back in your time, 9, there was 3-4 juggernauts and everybody else. Now there's everybody.
Well, the Brady Belichick dynasty for 20 years basically usurped everything else. I mean, they didn't win every game, but the fact was they were the favorite, and quite often they at least got there. And they were going to make your life miserable.
The NFL got exactly what they wanted, Norm.
Yeah, they got
every
the parity.
Sports organization. The only one that hasn't got it the way they wanted is baseball because there's no hard salary cap.
Yeah, that's right.
But even so, in baseball, you look at. We'll get into and by the way, last week, if you paid attention, I did tell you look out Dodgers, San Diego. Yep. San Diego beat the Dodgers. Philadelphia beat Atlanta. 2 100 teams out the door. So what does that tell you about the playoff formats? 1 seeds and out the door. Your reaction?
Yeah. Well, we did talk about like some of the so-called favorites in baseball in terms of their vulnerabilities. But the one team even with their vulnerabilities, who had the most disappointing playoff, I think you'd have to agree, is the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah. If you look back,
nobody saw that. A 2-game sweep by nobody saw that.
if you look back, the disappointment number one, and it's 1-1A obviously, because when you're the Dodgers and you win 111 games, and then you're owed in a blink of an eye against San Diego in 4. That's like it happened very quickly.
But the Blue Jay disappointment isn't much less than that
No,
because of
no.
the expectation of the pitching and certainly the hitting. I mean, the hitting was regarded maybe second best or first. And there's a good argument they could have been first.
And see, for Dodger fans alike, as I told you all year, Dodgers have an unbelievable team as a lineup to win 111. But in a postseason 3 out of 5 series, they were underdogs in every single matchup in terms of the mound matchups against Snell, against Darvish, and against name escapes me, Musgrove with the ear and the wax.
Well, they were.
So,
they were absolutely on fire.
So even without Tatis Jr., San Diego's got a formidable lineup, and when you got the better pitcher on the mound and the better bullpen, you know what? Your 111 wins mean jack shit, man.
Yeah.
They don't mean nothing, as we saw. And again, LA's going home.
Well,
Mets, the same kind of thing. They're going home. Braves, after championship, gone home, and we're left with the Phillies and Padres.
yeah. Well, but you remember we had a conversation about the Guardians. I called them the Indians momentarily.
Yeah.
But anyway, in all seriousness, I asked it as kind of like an open-ended question. I wonder how much of an added ace in the hand it is with a manager like they've got in Cleveland. With all of his experience, you can't take that away. And I wonder how much of a solid impact he's had with his club, like just in terms of the way he handles people.
Listen, the impact and the way he handles people, all you have to do is watch the way they play the game. Cleveland, by no rights from a town perspective, should be in any stratosphere that includes Blue Jays, Yankees, Astros, any of those clubs. You look at their lineup; they got a few guys here and there, right? So what they do is they play a certain style of baseball, and they play that baseball. They play fundamental baseball. Yeah. They execute. They play small ball. They run the bases, and they got 3-4 pitchers.
We talk about like slugging percentage, et cetera, home runs, and yet they hit just intelligent, like little fluke singles. But it works.
They put the ball in play. You got a beast in the middle, or the Ramirez, and then you got kids out of nowhere that come out and make splash in October. The kid that's got 3 postseason walk-off hits. So again, kudos to Tito. Tito's won before, and again that. It makes you wonder when you're one of the organizations like the Blue Jays, when you have that much talent, you're watching an Indian team play. It's got to be a bitter pill to swallow. It has to be. It has to be, right? Yeah. And again, what are they doing that the Blue Jays are not, right? And that's where you got to figure out that magic recipe and formula to understand how you can get the most out of your talent. And the best managers in the world put their guys in the best positions to win and get the most out of the talent. Yeah. And Tito Francona has done that better than anybody in the game of baseball. Manager that your hands down.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, I did have a chance to meet him when I was, full time in the media at the Fan 590. You know what? He's also just a down to earth guy, nice guy to talk to. So it makes it even sweeter. So good for him. And we're talking about Buffalo, a hard town to live in. I mean, Cleveland isn't that much. Cleveland. Okay, so LeBron got them the one title.
Neither Scarborough, don't worry.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how long have they been struggling with the Browns to make them like a consistently good team? Right? That's been forever already. I mean, the last.
They're just again. You want to go Cleveland Browns? You're talking Bernie Kosar. You're talking
Ernest
that's
Pryor,
right.
Now would have been the late 70s, 80s, whatever it was. Bernie was the 80s, late 80s.
80s, 90s. You're talking about the fumble against. There's a lot of. There's obviously not a lengthy history of Cleveland sporting achievements, right? That's why the Bryan won to when the championship was big. And again, they're just another city in the grid that's just fighting, just like the Leafs are for cups. Toronto, everybody's fighting champion. They're not championship city by no means. I don't leave it at that.
No, well, someday, God willing, they'll have aside from LeBron.
Do they have an MLS team?
No.
No, maybe they can get one.
Remember they used to have the Cleveland Barons? The Leafs, they were a team to get points off of. When the Leafs would kind of in the late 70s, they would have the Leafs were more fun in the playoffs because sometimes they overachieve. The regular season was they'd have a hard time with the Cleveland Barons.
Yeah. But you know who we don't have a hard time with? Our good buddy and another sponsor of this program. And
Nick!
We have him aboard, our buddy.
Yeah.
And the mayor of Carpets.
I call him the king, but that's okay.
King Mayor, let's hear from the Baron. We're going to have the NFL picks on the other side.
Welcome to Carpets for Life. For over 30 years, we have been servicing both residential and commercial clients in the sales and installation of custom stair runners on wall-to-wall areas. Our team prides itself in honesty with a regard of professionalism and customer satisfaction. Our many testimonials and continuous referrals is a testament of the quality of workmanship we provide. We strive to ensure a happy customer is a Carpets for Life customer.
Yes, sir. Mr. Borshi, Norm.
Yeah, well, Nick is a pretty special guy. I call him the king because, I mean, you can't get higher than king, right? And, and you know what? He's also a quality person, not only a master in terms of carpets, installing, repairing, but he's a sweetheart of a nice guy. I had the chance I didn't meet him till, through you, right? But yeah, he's one of those real quality, down-to-earth, nice guys you want to have a
but
beer
the poor
with
bastard's a Habs fan. That's the problem. And he's a little shaky. And his poker game's a little bit shaky, too.
Really?
It's a little loose.
Shaky, you mean
it's a
good?
little loose. It's a little loose. Borshi loves to chase those inside straights, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, Nick Borsch, Carpets for Life, thanks for coming on board. Yeah. Speaking of coming on board, we're closing out, and this is probably the big finish. We have a big finish, too, around here.
Yeah.
Do you remember the two of us had a conversation last Monday about the Monday Nighter, about my football prognostication? Yeah. Do you remember that conversation?
Of course.
All right. Let's let the fans, Jordan, play the video and let's remember exactly what was said between the legend and the Greek.
What would you say on next week's show?
You know what, Norm? At the end of the day, you'll realize that I didn't get to be as good as I am by accident. I don't make mistakes. I'm not going to give you a lock. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, but I'm going to tell you this. That when you put your money on a club, you want that club to want the game in a way worse than you do. And when you bet in the Raiders today, you better believe that club's going to be geared up. They're going to want that game. They're going to put everything they got into that game. And when you got 7.5 to 8 points behind you, that's a proposition worth taking. Raiders are the play. Plain and simple.
So, Billy?
I don't know. So what? You talk to the Greek, man. Yeah. I don't know. Talk to him.
Well, you know.
You guys, all you old hacks, man. I love you to death. You're a great guy. All you old hacks. And I'm talking. Listen. God. Listen. I started out in this industry working with Joe Tilley. Another dinosaur, man. Old hack. So I went there.
But sometimes it's better to have those old brains and the young legs.
All right, hold on. So this old hack continued to tell me about football, this, that, that. So listen, son. I'm the best in the business. Pay attention. He goes, he laugh at me. And then I went 40 games over 500. All right.
Yeah.
Work with Claudy Fig. Great guy. Same kind of thing. And then you realize, geez, this guy's good. And now you. So I asked you last week, right? You know I'm good at picking football games, right?
That's why.
So we had a discussion, me and you, and you decided to say that I don't know what I'm talking about, and that the Raiders would not cover that football game. Who did you take, man? Just look and say who was right, who was wrong. Just say, yeah, Greek, you were right. Just say you were right, man, and you're good at what you do.
You were right.
And you're good at what you do.
But I was right.
No, you weren't.
I was bloody well right, as Supertramp sang about 1977. Bloody well right. You're bloody well right. I was bloody well right about the Philadelphia Eagles. When they were 3-0, and you said, who have they beat? And they have beat America's team. America's team. The Dallas Cowboys. So, ladies and gentlemen, I evened the score against the heavyweight champion of odds making. I shocked him. I sent him to his corner.
You did.
And his trainer on that game.
Standing 9. Give me a standing 8, man. No towels, buddy, man. I take a standing 8 and bounce back. We're going to bounce back today. I've been going back and forth on the Monday Nighter. You got the Denver Broncos traveling to LA to play the Chargers. Divisional rivalry game, 3-2 Chargers against the 2-3 Broncos. You have obviously the Russell Wilson Denver Bronco marriage has not gotten off to the best of starts. Would you say?
He's looking old before his time.
I mean, if you watch Russell Wilson, I don't want to.
He's missing open receivers.
Can Russell Wilson, the way you've seen him the first 5 weeks, can he start for the Argos?
Well, you can't start for anybody if you're missing open receivers,
right?
That's very bizarre. I mean, some people, some of the analysts on the NFL games are trying to cut him a bit of slack, saying, okay, he hasn't got his timing down and his routes down with his receiver, but that doesn't sound Russell Wilson like. I mean, he could have thrown blindfolded with the Seahawks and hit his receiver. So the issue is there's also
There's also whispers that he's got issues in his throwing shoulder, which
Well,
could be
maybe.
legitimate.
Yeah.
You don't know. But here's the issue. Here's what I see, and I always love the underdogs. You know me, man. I never hardly ever take favorites, especially divisional games where the need factors with the Chargers. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But when I look at their head coach, who's made arguably the most inauspicious 5-game start, where he's been questioned from some of his play calling, timeouts, the way he's handled the game. I can't remember a worse entry into the league than this guy. Russell Wilson looks terrible. Now, the question you ask yourself, right, do they get things back together? Can you get things back together? That's a good Charger club. Can you get things back together and win in Monday night in LA? And you know what the answer for me is, unfortunately, and this is the first time in about, I don't know, in a year or so that I've picked a favorite on a Monday. I hate doing it, eh? You see me. All my picks for majority, I like to take points. I don't like to lay. But I got no choice today, Norm Rumack. So the pick for you folks out there, we got no choice. We got to lay the 4.5, and we got to take the Chargers. We got no choice. And if Russell Wilson bounces back and makes us look bad, so be it.
Yeah,
But
no,
don't
the way
count
they're
on it.
playing, they're
You ready to
scary.
take the Broncos?
No.
No.
I hate to agree with you. It's like worse than, what would be a good analogy? No, I don't want to go overboard.
Hemorrhoids?
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Eh?
Yeah, it'd be worse. except there's no cream
There's no cream,
that
right?
can help.
No Vaseline
Russell
for you, eh, Norm? Eh?
It's not Vaseline.
A little Vaseline, Norm. You know
Oh.
about that in your time, anyway. I don't want to go into your.
Wait,
Syracuse-
how would you know?
I don't want to go into your off the record.
Here he is, Dr. George Atsakis.
Your Syracuse.
If you got
I
it.
don't want to go through your Syracuse exploits, man. Let's just sleep.
Why not? They were good. I can
So-
tell you.
All
I
right.
had some
On
really
that
good
note,
stuff.
obviously we've gone through this whole program. You're a proud Syracuse alum.
Yes.
You got to be so.
Syracuse, we
Close
beat
it out, man. Close it out.
we beat NC State. They were ranked at the Carry Dome. We beat them pretty good. And now, have we got a schedule from hell. We go to Death Valley to play Clemson. And then the week after, we get none other than the Fighting Irish back at the Carrier. Well, it's called something anyway, the Dome. And the last time, actually, we had them at the Dome, I was there. It was around 2005. We beat the Irish handily at the Dome. It was something like 47-17.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll tell you what. Dino Babers has the Syracuse team fired up. He has them believing. We're at least, first
relevant.
of all, 6-0 for the first time since 1987 when Don McPherson was the quarterback. He was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, right? And so for the first time since 87, we are 6-0. And now we're at least in a bowl game.
Can you win in Clemson? Or is it a tall task?
They beat Clemson at the Dome
about
a
couple of years ago.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. They have done it. I think this team is much stronger than the 2018, but I'm not discounting. And Clemson just took it. Didn't they take it on the chin from LSU?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they come in really.
Yeah.
So
They're
maybe
gonna
next Monday get a W. You got one of those old Syracuse jerseys you put on?
Well, I've got all the Syracuse jackets. I've got I don't think I wear a Carmelo Anthony shirt for a football game, but yeah, I've got my Syracuse stuff. I've got it ready to bring in case we can get through the next 2 weeks, God willing. But man, it would be. You tell me. You're the wagering expert. What would be if I invested some shekels with you or your buddies on Syracuse winning the national championship? I know it's about the same as me being on Mars tomorrow, but
Or on Sportsnet.
So if I bet, that too, maybe more so. So if I bet $50, $100, what do you think I could win back for Syracuse to win?
Half a Scarborough.
Scarborough. Can you give me a monetary figure?
I
on
don't
half
know.
a Scarborough?
Yeah, if
What,
looking in
10,000,
coming
20,000?
into the year, there wouldn't be a fair
No.
odds for that. You're probably looking at about anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500 to 1. So you put $100, you're moving
buy
up.
a few chicken wings and
Yeah. You're not looking at bills for a little bit and wondering why 6 wings came to $80. You're just tipping and you're just laughing, right? And you're just heading on. Speaking of heading on and heading over, we're out of here.
Oh, we got to thank the bottom line.
The
And all
bottom
great
line.
folks here.
Wayne
And then
Calley.
Jordan, our producer, fine work as always.
Who's here all day and really puts in a lot of effort, a lot of work. The kid is young. He's still a dreamer.
And to Kosa, and to Nick.
Yeah, everybody involved.
Yeah, and all you people watching, whenever you watch, we're grateful. Thank you so much. We're with you every Monday night. Come down here if you can to the bottom line, 7 to 8. Catch it live. We have a lot of fun. And Thanks for tuning us in. We appreciate it, folks. God bless. Have a good week.